Hey everybody, good morning. It's about 8:38 in the morning on it's the 2nd of September 2022. I'd like to revisit a video that we did yesterday on NASDAQ and just talk about what has happened over the last, I don't know, 12 to 18 hours. Before I get into any of this, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, manage your own risk, do your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let's go ahead and move into the chart. So we talked about this yesterday. We were talking about wedges. We were talking about, compressionary. We were talking about lower low after lower low, and then lower high after lower high, and we're starting to compress. So just to kind of talk about how things resolved yesterday, I will mostly focus on NASDAQ, but I'm going to poke a little bit at the S&P 500 as well, just full disclaimer there. So, we were talking about this yesterday, and we talked about how this was more than likely going to resolve to the upside. So a couple things did happen yesterday. Obviously, yes, we did move to the upside. And we also tagged the 618, which is probably one of the reasons why we had such a big move that as we had yesterday at the end of the day. So just looking at this, what I've basically done here is I've tagged down here at the very bottom. That's my dominant pivot low. And then I've got my dominant pivot high all the way up here at the top of this this head and shoulders that everybody had been paying attention to, which has pretty much played out, just for the record. There are specific targets that you use for head and shoulders, but this is good enough for me, right? It doesn't have to go to the 100%, but I think that we're getting pretty close to at least completing this part of the downside move. And yes, I do think that there is more significant downside, but I think what's going to happen over the next couple weeks is it's really going to throw people for a loop, because you had a lot of people saying September is the worst performing month always, and I think we potentially may be actually setting up something where we're going to have kind of the opposite, at least here in the beginning. So let's just take a look. Right now, NASDAQ's at 12,380. We've got the S&P 500, which is right below 4,000. But let's look at this here for just a minute and just kind of consume what we had happen yesterday. I'm going to go down to a 15-minute time frame. And of course, you can see, we have this same downward trend line that I had outlined yesterday. We have this same downward trend line to the upside that we had yesterday. We had a big massive rally after we tagged the 618. Let's just look at this. Okay, we did tap that 618. So we had a good tag of that. And then what was the reaction that we had off of that? Well, it was good. It was the start of an impulse. Okay, so we had a nice move off of that. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, and then a very, very long 4, and then a 5. Now, what this could also be is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A, and then a B, and then we're going up for a C. That is also a very, very, very good possibility. What is the upside move that I'm going to be looking for? Well, essentially what I'm going to be looking for is a corrective move to correct this dominant pivot high up here to this dominant pivot low right here. As we always say, whenever you're taking a 618 trade, probably one of the highest probability trades that you can take. So I say that because this is important, what I'm about to say next. Some of the highest probability trades that you can take are buying at the 618 and then taking profit at the negative 236 extension, which would be all the way up here at about 14,460. I don't think we're going to get that high, just for the record. I don't think we're going to realize that target, but I did want to point that out because that is a high probability trade. I just don't think probability is on our side this time. And the reason why is because we are in, we're in a pretty decent downtrend here. So let's, and when I say downtrend here, what I'm really referring to is the downtrend from, going all the way back to January. All right. And let me go down to a 5-minute and just get this tagged all the way down here at the bottom, right there. Okay. So what I'm going to be looking for, and the reason why I've got both of these fibs on here is because they're both going to provide similar support and resistance going up when we go back up. So the 50 coming down, right, should provide significant support and or resistance going back up. And that's exactly what happened here. So yesterday, when we, when we had the rally, we stopped right at that 50. Now, that was not an internal retracement from the move from the top to the bottom. That was an internal retracement from the move from the bottom to the top. So again, from that initial fib pull, that 50 is and should be providing supported resistance. So we had resistance there. I would expect this is going to provide a little bit of support. We're just going to have to see how things go. Of course, right here at the 382, which is also the 382, it's the 382 of both moves. It's a 382 correction of the move coming down, and it's a 382 correction of the move going back up. So I would also expect to see some resistance in that level as well. But the most important level, in my opinion, that we should be watching for is right up here at 13,000. Are we going to get all the way up to 13,000? I think it's very possible that we do. It may actually not happen for a little while longer than I was expecting. I really thought that this week we were going to see a significant move to the upside, and obviously that really hasn't happened. Essentially where we're at is at the same price that we were on like Monday or Tuesday, and here we are now on Friday, and it's Labor Day weekend, so chances are pretty good we're going to see some volatility going into the weekend. But watching in the coming weeks, I do think we're going to test that 13,050 level. We'll just call it 13,000, but that is the 236 of the move down, and it's the 618 of the move back up. Now, are we going to stop at the 50? It's very possible. It's very possible. That 50, which you can also see was prior support of this move coming down, I would expect there's going to be some resistance there, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit for for the market makers to take all of that put open interest that's out there and really just kind of murder those positions. So if you're interested in playing the Qs, let's just take a look and see what that would relate to. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove what we've got there. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of a gap up today. So I'm going to zoom in. There we go. Perfect. And we're going to get this dominant pivot high up here, this dominant pivot low right here. Again, we're talking about the 50 to the 618. I mean, look at the 50 right here. That's going to be at 313. And I caution playing calls right now just because we're going to have, a decent amount of volatility and, a lot of sideways chop. And so that's really not great for options. If you're going to play options, just like we did yesterday, it should be kind of the short term. You should be playing the short game when you're playing options right now, just because longer term, you're going to have a lot of this sideways action that we saw here. It just kind of moved sideways in a range for days. Okay, same thing right here. It just moved sideways in a range for days. All right, so just be cautious of that. But yeah, so that 50 right there, it looks like it's right at prior support, so that likely is going to be resistance. Getting all the way up here to the 618 is what I'm expecting, but it may just stop here at that 50 because of this right here, and that would make a whole lot of sense. What does that look like on SPY? Because SPY is going to do something, again, very similar. SPY had a very similar formation that that the rest of the market had as well, and we are breaking up out of this. We're likely going to see a little bit of a gap up today. SPY should be opening somewhere around 397.50. We'll just have to wait and see kind of where things resolve. But it had this descending channel, and then we broke up and out of there. So where's the level on SPY? So if you're a SPY trader, let's just go ahead and put this in here. See, dominant pivot high, dominant pivot low, and we've got that level. That 50 is actually not quite there, so I think it's more probable that we do go to the 618 on SPY, and that again will be at 415.30. Now if I take a look at SPX, where is that level on SPX? Well, let's just take a look and see here. Dominant pivot high, dominant pivot low. Just taking a look at this, the 618 looks a lot better on the S&P than it does on NASDAQ. I guess one of the reasons why is because here on the 618, we've got lots of support and resistance right here in this level. So going all the way up here to 41.59, Again, not saying it's going to happen today. Obviously, very, very, very unlikely that's going to happen today. More than likely, it's not going to happen Monday or Tuesday next week. It may take a week or two to get there. And keep in mind also, we have OPEX coming up here in a couple weeks. So, it may be that it actually takes a little while longer for us to get there. We may just move sideways for the next 2 weeks and really not do much of anything. We could have some wild moves, but it wouldn't surprise me if OPEX just expired right at 4,000. So just beware of that. So what does this mean for our good friend Bitcoin? All right, so Bitcoin, let's just go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin, what it has done compared to, say, the S&P 500, okay? I'm on the 15-minute chart. I'm going to move to NASDAQ on the 15-minute chart. I mean, look, NASDAQ, cliff dive, sideways cliff dive, sideways fall. I wouldn't say that this would be a cliff dive. This is a cliff dive. This is a cliff dive, in my opinion. These are just a slow sell-off, just a slow bleed. And so now, comparing NASDAQ to Bitcoin, it does not really relate. Yeah, we had a cliff dive, but it fully recovered. We had the slow bleed, but it has really recovered. So Bitcoin hasn't really done much of anything. So is that bullish or bearish? I think that's bullish because Bitcoin is a high-risk asset. And the fact that Bitcoin has not seen the massive sell-off that the major markets have seen, it's actually probably a pretty good thing. We have seen some drop-off here, right? We had a little bit of a sideways move and then a drop-off here. But all of this price action here, the market, the greater stock market has seen a significant drawdown where crypto really has not. So that is a pretty bullish thing for me. If we can maintain daily closes above that 19,670 level, I would say things are going to be actually looking pretty good for crypto over the next couple months. It could be that we actually do see an upside move until the end of the year. Now, I'm not really expecting that for the stock market, but for crypto, I do think that there is potential for a decoupling. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see how things resolve here. Just playing off levels on Bitcoin, we really needed to overtake this level right here, which is going to be at about 20,800. Then we're going to need to take over this level right here. This is probably going to be the more important one to take over. That's going to be at 22,700. If we can overtake a couple of these key levels that were broken, then I think things are going to start looking a lot better. I still say that long-term spot buying of Bitcoin in little bits here and there, maybe you do a monthly buy, maybe you do a weekly buy, whatever that may be, just buying it, putting it in cold storage, just letting it sit there, coming back in 4 to 5 years, chances are, right, there's no certainty with any of this, but chances are we're going to be seeing higher prices on Bitcoin here over the next several years. All right, guys, that's all that I have got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, if it provided any amount of good information for you, make sure you like, subscribe, share with all of your friends. And if you need access to our Discord, you can find all of that information on BitDoctor.org. We'd love to have you there. And of course, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care, everyone.